Next, let's have a look how can we create a custom connector from OpenAPI definition. You can create a custom connector using either way. The outcome is the same. Now on Microsoft website, they will provide samples, and you just download the sample for the OpenAPI definition and modify them. It's a industrial standard. If we switch to our custom connector that we created using the manual or Scratch method, you notice there's something called Swagger editor in your custom connector that we created in the last exercise. If you turn that on, you can actually see this is the OpenAPI definition. So creating a custom connector from scratch eventually gives you the OpenAPI definition, and you can download it once the connector is created. When you open the file, it's going to be in JSON. So you can actually create OpenAPI definition using both the JSON or the YAML file. So this is a JSON. You can download it. You can give it to somebody else. You can save it as a copy. Next time, if you want to delete a custom connector and recreate it, very quick. So this is something you download after you created a custom connector from the scratch, like we did previously. Next, I'm going to show you how we're going to do it the modern way, which we're going to use your generative AI. So go to your favorite AI friend. I'm giving my instruction very explicitly. I'm going to create a custom connector in Power Platform. Please create an OpenAPI file in YAML format. I like to use the following endpoint. So I listed all the API endpoint that we used, eight of them, and I posted a link says check the API usage from this website. So hopefully it will pick it up. Then I also said make sure it has a good description, because that will be used to tell Copilot Agent when and how to use it. And then I also followed with a Microsoft documentation about how to create OpenAPI definitions from the Microsoft website. Okay, so let's see what kind of result we can get from this simple prompt. Eventually you're gonna get a YAML file out of this. Don't stress too much if it's not perfect, or if it has some mistakes. You might be worried about that, because eventually as we importing this OpenAPI file to create a custom connector, you get to go through every actions for each API endpoint. That's when you can correct if there's any mistake. Okay, so we've got our file. I'm gonna save it and import to our Power Platform. So I just copied the whole YAML file into VS Code. You can see actually how it defines the actual endpoint, and then each API actions, the descriptions, the parameters. Very good. Now, the VS Code actually picked up an error here, and for some reason it doesn't like this API here required as true, but all the other required as true seems fine. So let's see what is it about. We'll click on this explain and see what that means. True required. There must be plenty of API keys, so we'll go look for zero required true. It's fine. So why this required true is particular problem? We don't know. True. Interesting. So the analysis came back. It says run indentation. So it's not because this true is a problem, this schema is a problem, because you can see under the require schema, so we shouldn't have this indentation here. And let's just correct that, and done. we'll save this YAML file and import to our Power Platform. Back in Power Automate, select Custom Connectors. This time, New Custom Connector, and we will select Import an OpenAPI file. We'll call it FMP Financial OpenAPI, and we'll import the file we just did. Select Continue, and here we go. This is already there. So let's do the icon again. Maybe we'll do a different icon this time. I don't think this icon background color is working. I keep trying different color, but none of them are effective. Anyway, so we have the connector description, and then scheme is already done correctly. You can tell. Go to that API KPI query. Even that is correct. It's not header for FMP specifically. Go definition. Here we go. So this is all the 8 actions. We just need to go through them one by one and make sure they are correct. Now, as you can see, the operation ID was not picked up based on the documentations we shared. Now, there are 2 ways to do this. You can go back and forth with your AI to try to fix it from the API level, the OpenAPI file level, or we just fix it up like how we did it with when we created connector manually from scratch. Just type it in and going through these settings one by one and complete these updates for these 8 actions. Let's do that. I actually went back to ChatGPT, asked it to regenerate it, and it still got it wrong. You can see I'm just fixing them one by one manually. You got this endpoint completely wrong, even though it knows the endpoint. It gets it right here in the request, but it gets wrong here in operation ID. So very disappointing. ChatGPT 5.1 in December 2025 still gets a simple OpenAPI file wrong. Anyway, so we're gonna skip the code and find out we've done. We just gonna create connector. Now, because we modified it, we updated, this connector is good. And if we turn on the Swagger editor, you can see the complete OpenAPI file. Once the connector is created, you can also go download it from, when you click back on this custom connector, you can download the whole OpenAPI file. And we know that is a good OpenAPI file, okay? So let's use this new connector in the Copilot agent. I have re-imported all the 8 tools under our new agent. You can see that they're exactly the same, but you can tell the difference from this logo. I've used different picture, so we know it's coming from the new connector that's been built from the OpenAPI file. If you go to it's exactly the same, so I won't bother you with the details. Just make sure you have a very good description for each action or tool, and make sure you provide API keys and change this completion to write response with Gen AI. Make sure you have a good system instructions under the overview, which will help the AI agent to use your tool. And don't forget, under the settings, go to the orchestration under Gen AI. Make sure it's using the Gen AI, select that to yes, and adjust your moderations. You have to do a lot of tests to make sure that what's the right level for you. Okay, so let's test our agent. First question, give me the last 5 days of closing price for Apple and a summary of their recent income statement. And I'm hoping it's gonna get this information directly from our custom connector. Let's see, it's going through our custom connector, and just gonna go to our connection manager to make sure. Always forgot about this. Make sure this is connected. we'll go submit. Okay, good. Let's go back and go retry. And then, after we get the response, we will ask the same question about a stock it shouldn't have access to. So let's say, oh, interesting. So we need some tweak. I asked two things in one sentence in one prompt. First, it returned the price, but then it says it doesn't have the income statement. And then it went to the different API to get income statement. Here's a summary. So there's some work for us to do to make this experience more cohesive and smooth. Right. Now let's ask. Oh, it's keep giving me information now. Okay. So the second question is we're going to ask for a stock. Let's say PME, and you should get the data back from general knowledge and web search. So make sure under the overview your web search is switched on under here. Okay, so we ask that, and let's watch how this map will change, whether it will go to, it will probably error out first because we haven't added the logic on error, so we might get the error, and then it will error out on the income, the financial custom connector first, and try the web search after. So I couldn't find the data, and it looks like it hasn't given up yet. So from the left you can see it tried to search different stock, and it returned an empty array. Now let's just wait. The performance is a bit bad. But for our talk, it's okay. I do not have the latest closing price, so you try both, right? Doesn't have the closing price, also doesn't have the information for the income statement. However, company name looks like my company name API endpoint actually have access to stock markets from different outside the US. Okay, so same problem. We will just need to add a generative AI node on error, like what we did last one when we created the connector from scratch. Exactly the same, and this problem will be gone. It will continue to research, find the answers, and put them back to you. Okay, I think I will end here. I won't repeat that. Okay, so this is how you can build a custom connector with any external data source, as long as they provide API endpoints. And this is how you can extend your Copilot agent with these third-party data source using the custom connector. And all these custom connector will be imported as tools in Copilot Studio. And you can see this is just a endpoint from one custom connector. You can import many of them. So that is also one of the limitation, because as you can see, it was very repetitive. FMP has hundreds of API endpoints. Right? Every single of them is an API point from this drop-down menu. Hundreds of them. Other financial institutions such as London Stock Exchange, this one shows 79. And when importing them, building them into custom connector, each API endpoint, each action represents, from here you can see, represent a tool. So you can build one custom connector and it will connect. It will contain lots of tools, and it's a very repetitive task. When, as you saw, I did it in the video demo, whether from scratch or even from OpenAPI definition. As you're importing them into Copilot Agent, you're gonna do this one by one. So although you can ask your vendor if they don't have a predefined or vendor built connector for Copilot, you can probably ask them to provide you a OpenAPI definition file. Even you can build any custom connector you want as long as they provide API. It is still a lot of work and maintenance when you're importing them into Copilot to build an agent. So just be very selective and understand what are you actually providing to your users. Be task specific. Don't have a custom connector with hundreds of actions that it will be very hard to test. So that's the other part. Make sure you're gonna do a lot of tests, because a Copilot agent or any generative AI is not deterministic. It's very hard to tell a AI explicitly what to do, what not to do. They just hallucinate all the time. So the only thing you can do is to provide a good system instruction, and under the tools, as you're importing them for each API actions, you have write a good descriptions. So hoping that the Copilot agent will use the right tool at the right moment. Okay, so hopefully it helps someone. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.